circa 1990. It's your boy Yvonne.
And I'm Ladante.
We are the founders and managing partners of New Age Capital, an early-stage venture capital firm investing in dope tech startups founded and led by Black and Latino entrepreneurs.
We've known each other for 10 years now, and over the last decade, we've made it through college, we turned up, we traveled, survived corporate America, and started a couple companies together, ultimately leading us to where we are today.
New Age Capital is the culmination of our passion for entrepreneurship, coupled with our deep frustration with the lack of venture capital invested in Black and Latino communities. Also, there was really no venture brand out there that connected with us on a cultural and interpersonal level, so we decided to create something dope that was authentic to our lifestyles.
Little did we know, raising a fund is hard as
No, but seriously though, raising a fund? It's hard as
But we still out here though. So on our journey to build a New Age Capital, we decided to highlight some of the amazing entrepreneurs we met along the way.
This is chopping it up.
Today, we're talking to Crystal Etienne. Crystal is the founder and CEO of PantyProp. We learned about Crystal's company through a Fast Company article in early 2018. She's been building PantyProp, a direct-to-consumer underwear and swimwear company that protects men and women against leaks. Through sheer hustle, determination, and execution, she was able to bootstrap her first run of underwear, and in the first 2 years of her company's formation, she was able to garner $1.1 million in sales. Now, let's take a look at the femtech industry. In 2017, CB Insights reported that startups with missions to improve women's healthcare raised around $1.1 billion. This includes startups ranging from fertility solutions, period and fertility tracking apps, period care goods, to sexual wellness. This sector has tremendous opportunities for growth as society has also become increasingly open in addressing the needs of women's health. Frost & Sullivan, a business consulting firm involved in market research and analysis, reported that the femtech sector has the market potential of $50 billion by 2025. More importantly, these startups are creating access to affordable healthcare options for women around the globe. Let's go chat with Crystal to get her perspective on PantyProp.
All right, so we have Crystal Etienne here in the building with us. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing?
Great to have you.
I like that.
Oh man.
Go for it.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us. This is the inaugural season of Chopping It Up. Dante and I have been thinking of ways to really, promote entrepreneurship among our community and do it around content and really highlighting certain entrepreneurs. So when we learned about you and what you're doing with PantyProp, we're like, yeah, we have to get Crystal on and talk to her and really get that vibe and see what the goal is. So let's start off with who is Crystal Etienne? What's a little bit about your background and who are you? Who do you want people to view you as individually?
Yeah, so Crystal Etienne is your typical black girl. There is nothing fancy about me at all, and there's nothing fancy. I actually grew up in Flushing, Queens.
Okay.
But I live in Long Island now.
Okay. So kind of growing up, was entrepreneurship, something that you were raised around or you were thinking about, or is it a bug that got you later in life? What was that whole process about?
So I wasn't raised around it, but out of my whole family, I would say I was the entrepreneur.
Okay.
So I started very young.
Yeah.
Probably at with my sister and a friend in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I saw a tree in front of our building.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? We can make some money off that tree. It was like an apple tree. It wasn't even apples. I don't even know what it was to this day. These little things used to fall off. So we used to pack them up. I was like, we're gonna set up right here. I probably was maybe 6 or 7.
Right.
My building had a lot where you would park your car.
Yeah.
And everybody had to enter that way. So I said, we're gonna set up right there. And we were selling people those things off of that tree. We would pack them up in plastic. And
nobody called the cops on y'all at 6 or 7.
No. This was in the 80s. Today.
You wouldn't be upset them happening.
There's kids climbing up the tree.
You ain't got a permit.
Right. In the 80s, nobody was thinking about that.
So you guys set up a stand
right from there.
That's
and then
dope.
and then my father is from Harlem. My mother was from Bayside, but my father was from Harlem.
Okay.
So I guess when I was younger, the Harlem came out.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that hustle mentality. So we went from apples to selling lemonade.
Okay.
Not even lemonade, we were selling iced tea actually.
Iced tea, okay.
Yeah, because I said, you know what, everybody sells lemonade. Let's sell iced tea. When I was younger, I would just always try to figure out things or say, like, there's a solution for everything.
Right.
And I still feel like that. I just feel like to this day, like, there's a solution for everything. The only thing there is not a solution for is death.
Right.
Otherwise, there's a solution for everything. And I've always just felt like that.
Right. You know, let's fast forward a little bit, you know, even before, you know, PantyProp, as, you know, were you starting from a vantage point of you saw a bunch of problems as you got older and you're like, you know, let me try to solve them? Or was, you know, PantyProp, you know, that one thing that you were feeling needed to be dealt with at the time? Or, you know, what's your journey to PantyProp? And then you can talk a little bit about how you started the company.
Yeah, so I always had the entrepreneur mind. I just didn't know it when I was younger.
Right.
My first business was actually, I would say my first real business. I actually had mall-based stores.
Oh, okay.
Mall-based stores in Long Island.
Oh, wow.
And I had lingerie stores.
Okay.
So at the time, I was younger.
Yeah.
So I was like, obviously I was buying lingerie.
Right.
Going to Victoria's Secrets. I was like, this crap is expensive.
Yeah.
So I found actually in the city here, like the manufacturers used to be the lingerie building. And I used to see that the crap was like $3, like the cost of it. So I was like, I'm going to open up my own stores and compete with them. So I used to buy the lingerie and I opened up lingerie stores and I would sell it for cheaper. And since they're like private label, they might have a color that I couldn't buy.
Yeah.
But it would be the same piece, same underwear, and that's where my first business was.
Okay.
As far as like was doing that.
Okay.
And I stayed working.
Wow,
Like,
you know, gotta have that side hustle.
Yes. So I stayed working, and then after a while, I had to like quit.
Right.
And then I closed my stores down.
Okay.
What was what job were you working at that helped sustain what you were doing on the side?
I was like a controller assistant.
Okay.
Before I became a
okay.
controller.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Like I became a controller later on, but I was a controller assistant.
Yeah.
And then what was the cause of you shutting down those stores? Like what eventually happened with the lingerie?
The recession.
Okay.
And then also at the same time, you know, since it was mall based.
Okay.
Mall based, you're really like still working for somebody because you still got to be there. You still got to open up your store at a certain time, and then you're dealing with I would say like more like high school students, like being your employees and things like that.
Yeah.
Not people who got to pay real bills.
Right.
So it was a lot, like with all the stores.
Yeah.
And I would say 2 stores was driving the other stores down. I know when to quit. Like if something.
Right.
Yeah, I know when to quit to say, okay, like this is not working. Like, at that time, I had a mortgage, I had everything. I was like, you know what, this is like driving too much from me, and it wasn't rewarding. Even though being an entrepreneur, it drives too much. But when you don't have like that passion or that reward, it wasn't. I didn't really have the passion for it. It's just I started it because I was like, that freaking stuff at Victoria's Secrets was cheap. And
you can
like
get some pretty good margins.
Right. So we pay those $25 for some little tiny pair of underwear when you can just get it for like $8. And that's what I was selling it for.
That's great. Great segue. So let's get into it. You know, PantyProp, which is doing great right now. Let's get into the backstory a little bit about, you know, what problem you identified personally and then how that led you to starting PantyProp.
Yeah, so when I had my daughter, when I was in my 20s, I had developed like incontinence. And my gynecologist, like one day I was like at a party with my friends. Just imagine being like 20-something years old at a party with your friends and you laugh and then you just like pee. It was, nobody knew, but it's a horrible feeling, like to be in the middle of somewhere and have that feeling. So I went to my gynecologist and he told me that most women don't realize, like after you have your baby postpartum, your bladder loosens. So what happens to the majority of women, no matter what age you have a baby, after a couple of months or maybe like a year, your bladder loosens, and then that's when you develop stress incontinence, like when you laugh or cough. I'm sure you've heard people say. And then just dealing with my period since I was 11 years old. One day I had enough. I literally was like in my house watching Wendy Williams, and like my pad was just there, and I was like, this is just disgusting. I really thought it was like, I said to myself, like if we can sit here right now and send somebody a text and say Africa, why am I still dealing with something that's just a natural body function that is making me uncomfortable? Like I just feel like the world goes so fast. I love going fast. but going so fast of trying to beat the next innovation.
Right.
When something so simple as women's health and hygiene just was not being addressed. And that's one day I just really had enough. And I came down here in the city and I just went to like manufacturers. I started Googling, like going, and then I found people to make my pattern. I chose like maybe, I think I did like 3 or 4, I don't remember, like 3 or 4 people like to make it so I could see which one came out better. I eliminated what I needed and then it just went from there.
How did you start constructing the pattern? How did you know, like, all right, it has to be this way, or these are the ideas that it should be? And I remember, if I'm not mistaken, there's like an insert for the pattern initially.
Yeah.
What would kind of walk us through like the process of even coming up with that?
Yeah. So I only had a drawing of like like what I had experienced that day, like what made me so aggravated. It was my sanitary pad. It was uncomfortable. It was showing. Like I was just laying on the bed and it was showing, and it was uncomfortable. It was shifting. So my initial thing was I just wanted to hide it. Right. I wanted it to be uncomfortable, and I wanted it to not bother me. Yeah. So the initial thing was just like I would call it a hole, and like an underwear in the gusset. And I started realizing like, because I'm my own customer, and then I had my friend come like with her daughter and asking her questions. I did like a lot of research like around people that wear sanitary pads, people that cannot use insertables at all, and the majority of people wear sanitary pads and they're uncomfortable. If you ask anyone who wears a sanitary pad, whether it be, because men wear sanitary pads too, but if you ask anyone who wears that sanitary pad, the first thing they're gonna say is, I don't want to use a sanitary pad because it's uncomfortable. Right. I want to use a tampon. So we're forced, there's no in-between solution from that sanitary pad to the tampon or the menstrual cup. And that's what I wanted to create. I wanted you to have an option that you don't have to put a foreign object into your body, and for you to be comfortable and not complain about it.
So let's take a step back a little bit and talk about, you mentioned, going to manufacturers and then like this patenting process. Can you talk a little bit about how that happened? Like, how did you learn to do those things? Because that's not something, an entrepreneur just knows to do, to know where to find the materials or what's going to be needed, and then also knowing how to patent it, and then where to go to find the manufacturers. I mean, I know you probably had that experience from before, but can you talk about that?
No, I didn't have manufacturing. I didn't. What I had was wholesalers before.
I
had no idea. Like when I had my lingerie stores, I was buying it and just private labeling it, like sticking a label on it. Yeah. This time it was something that I created, that I invented. So I had no idea, and it just took it just took research. Like research is not in a day. Yeah. So when one thing didn't work, when one person didn't work, I went to the next person. And like I said, that's why I chose like 4 people like to do it, because sometimes if you choose one, then if it don't come out, then you like stop.
4 different manufacturers.
Yeah, to make my patterns.
And what did that research entail?
Just my drawing.
Just how
I found them?
Yeah, how you found them.
Yeah, so finding them, at first I did Google.
Right.
And if you do Google, it's really not that many. And then I came upon a website called Maker's Row.
Okay. Yeah. So talk about that a little bit.
So I use makersrow.com, and they have, because I wanted it made in the USA. They focus very much on made in the USA. Okay. And then I just started researching through there, calling. Some people didn't pick up. Not every manufacturer picks up. Some don't want to deal with like a small company, and I just called. I just literally called and just made myself, from my background, I know how to speak like on a corporate level, like what I want to get. So I just knew from there like how to speak to them, like to get them.
And how many would you say you actually like reached out to?
Probably at least like altogether. Yeah. Maybe like, I would say like 10.
Now the patenting process, does that come into play after you find the manufacturers to design the patent? Like how
I was doing it at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, so as we were perfecting it, I actually moved to, because I started the company with my own money. Yeah. So I didn't want to use, obviously writing a patent is a lot of money. I didn't know it was so much at the time. That was another research, and I thought we could just give somebody like maybe like $2,000 to get started.
Nope.
Retainers for attorneys, like an IP attorney, it's like $7,000. Yeah. Like $7,000. And to some people that's not a lot, but to me, I don't even care. I had $10 million. That $6,000 would have been like a lot to me, because I just knew that I could take that $6,000 and use it for something else. So what I did was I started calling the USPTO office, and they help you for free.
Really?
And I actually moved to Virginia for like 30 days, almost 30 days, so that I can go there and ask my questions. Back then, I called there probably at least, I would say, 20 times a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you moved there for 30 days just so you could really get that that daily, like, you know,
yeah,
push
and I stayed
everything.
there from morning to night writing it. When I had like a question and I feel like I wasn't getting the answer, I would just
Wow.
go over there and ask the question. They can't tell you what to write, but they can give you the format and help you along the way. And that's what I did. If you can file it and do it yourself and follow their, as long as it's in their format and you can, you know, get all of your things of what your patent is about, like it's particular wording.
Right.
But you have to know like what exactly, before you go there, you gotta know what your patent is gonna be on.
Right.
Okay.
And then you can get the help from there. So my initial patent, I paid nothing at all.
Wow.
But to file it, to write it, to do it, I actually did it myself. My patent is on the gusset. It's not even on no particular, it's on the gusset. That could be licensed out eventually. The patent is on a whole, pretty much, that performs and functions. It's a utility. It's not a design, it's a utility. It has a function to it. So everything is based around that. So once I had that, like the whole correct, like the way I needed it at that time, then I started manufacturing. So to do the samples, like I said, I used like 4 people, I think. Each one, everybody had different prices too. It ranged from like $250 to $650. So I wanted to see like if the $650 person was better than $250, and it wasn't. Actually, the best person who actually got it correct for me was actually the $250.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had did that. I got them all, and then I decided from there. And then I said, you know what? I knew that at that time I just wanted to do underwear.
Okay.
Underwear for women,
Right.
and girls. And then I just built everything around my gusset. The people that originally did my patterns and my samples is not my production facility. I found out a lot of stuff at that time. Like I thought like, oh, okay, you're done. And I told them like, oh, okay, let's start producing. And they wanted to charge me like $30 on underwear. I'm like, I can't sell underwear for like $60.
So you had to find a manufacturer to produce the prototype essentially, and then take it to another.
Yes,
production.
because I realized I know a lot about it now, but then I did it. Like I was dumb. Like anyone who was just starting out and knows nothing, I knew absolutely nothing. I thought after we got it right, I'm telling you, I told them like, okay, like let's start producing it. I need like 100, and they were like, okay, $30 underwear.
Wow.
And I was
Pass.
like, okay, no, thank you. So again, I was back at researching, back on Makers Row, like trying to find manufacturers. And then I found a couple of manufacturers, and I'm the type of person, like I said, I don't put all my eggs in one basket.
Right.
So I got like 2 factories like to produce it and see who came out best, the pricing and everything. Because at that time I was doing like small quantities, maybe 500, and I had like one size at that time. I found the perfect fabric. I actually created what's in my gusset, like in my technology. I actually created that with like there's different pieces to it.
Okay.
So I actually deal with different manufacturers for that. It doesn't all come
for the
from one
assembly.
place, right? For the fabric.
Yeah.
So the sourcing of the fabrics, I actually created the majority of it, like of testing it and playing with it to make sure that it works.
Okay.
And then I just had people that I know like test it, and then I did like this big test where sometimes I would just give people it and see what they say.
When did you start developing a substantial customer base? Like when did you actually start to even selling, and how long did that take from prototype to actually I'm moving units now?
Yeah, so when I first launched, which was December of 2015.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. It's horrible too. I don't remember how many orders I launched with. Like I sold them first, and then we launched because I was waiting for production.
Okay.
It wasn't a lot.
There were like pre-sales, or
yeah, but it wasn't no real pre-sale.
it was like 10
It was like the website up while I was waiting, so that I could get it out.
Right.
I did no advertising at all. I'm telling you, I knew
Zero advertising.
I knew absolutely nothing at all. One of my competitors, they had actually just went viral for like these Subway ads. So I like piggybacked off of them. So when people was looking for their expensive underwear, because they were selling $40 underwear, and I was like, I felt the same way with that Victoria's Secret thing, like $40 underwear.
Like, let's get their funnel of people that are like, nah, you're too expensive.
And I had already purchased like all of my competitive stuff, and it was not what I was looking for.
Right.
Like they didn't work properly. Like everything that I named of what I wanted my product, none of it worked that way.
Right.
So I had already known. And I was like, if they're selling that crap for $40,
Right.
I can sell something that really works, and I really wanted to be for the normal person. A normal person cannot afford one pair of $40 underwear.
Right.
So, but for like $15, $20, a normal person can afford something under $20.
Yeah,
So
right.
you don't just solve your problem. Like,
Or 2 or 3 of them for that 40 that they
correct.
can. Yeah.
Well, but then we put it, if you buy a couple,
Yeah.
then for that one $40 pair of underwear, we'll give you 4.
Right.
Right.
You know, or just for like a little bit more money, you get 4.
Yeah.
So we just started from there. So there was no advertising at all. And then once I grew, I saw like it was like the sales were like growing and growing and growing. I used to be up all night answering people's
Emails.
yes, it did live chat. I used to be on live
Oh,
chat.
really? You do it
Yeah.
answering that?
Yeah, I used to be on live chat. For the first 3 months, it was just me until it became too much. I had to get
You had
more
to bring
customers.
it to
Yeah, but for the first 3 months of my company, it was me up all night, like answering people live chat, and then it just grew from there. And then March, maybe I think December, March, like 4 months later, I went viral with my swimwear. Because since we grew so fast with the underwear, I was able to bring more of my products. Because I was like, you know what? I always had my vision of what I wanted. I wanted a lifestyle brand that you could just wear every day, normal pieces, nothing fancy, that you could just use whenever you want a normal day, like whatever you use. You know, so underwear, activewear, swimwear, sleepwear, regular normal things that we do. So once I grew and I saw that the sales were coming in, I just always kept taking the money and reinvesting it. And then I was able to do the swimwear next. And then my swimwear went viral.
So did something lead to that, or was it just your current customers that saw you had a new product line and
What,
they
the
bought
swimwear?
up? Yeah, the swimwear. Like, how'd that go viral?
After I got the one sample and I tested it
Yeah.
and knew that everything was good with it, I
Yeah.
did like a small production run. And I actually just sent an email to like, I think it was T-Bow maybe? It was either T-Bow or Cosmopolitan. Like, I don't remember what I put.
Right.
But they contacted me. Once they posted it, then everybody. And then I remember that clearly. That was March of 2016.
Wow.
And that since then, we have just exploded. It was crazy because we had just from that one article, when it's just one article, everyone picks it up and we went viral. And then we haven't slowed down since then.
On that note, getting to your marketing, what has been your approach? How have you been able to keep your customer acquisition costs low, continue to build your community, and what's been your approach to social media marketing? Can you
So
speak
like the
about
first
that?
year and a half, there was no budget of advertising at all. It was just, I realized that customers like myself that have that problem, we just want information. So I found SEO that I knew nothing about. And once I taught myself that, I started really gathering information and having someone who writes very well put together the information. I started giving out education, like to grow faster.
Right.
We actually started doing ads the beginning of this year, and I see it worse. I'm like, I should have done that 2 years ago, but we still don't do anything because now it's like having people were finding us, and now I realized a few months ago that we need to start finding people to help more people, and that's what we did.
What were the kind of revenue numbers looking like, and were you able to start paying yourself? Like, what was that? Like, what was that financial? Was it a strain? Was it not? Kind of walk us through like that.
No, because I was always fine, like in my life, which I know a lot of people aren't like in the same situation that I was. Like I was making a 6-figure salary, like when I started and then I have my husband who does the same thing. So I know a lot of people aren't in my situation, but money is money.
Right. I mean,
That's a fact.
Right. And so if you lose $10, and it's still a lot. A lot of people don't realize that. They'll see somebody like with that situation and think, oh, they're fine. No, you're still losing something. So it was just a matter of just like staying on top of everything. And at that time, I saw that we were growing, like with the numbers in 2017. Like we really grew really extremely fast. And the way that we grew was I had found my first angel investor, Chuck.
Yeah, Chuck.
Yeah.
Shout out to Chuck.
He is great. I don't even remember how I found him, but in 2016, even though we were going viral, we weren't doing advertising. So we weren't growing extremely fast.
Right.
And I think in 2016, maybe did close to 300,000, which is still good.
Yeah.
But And the only reason why is because people always had an inventory.
Right.
And then in 2017, Chuck gave me the $25,000. He said, take it, use it for inventory.
Yeah.
I put all of that into inventory. And then in 2017, we skyrocketed because we've always had inventory.
Right.
And then we did like $1.1 million in sales.
Wow.
And then this year, we've already like tripled that so far.
Wow.
Yeah. So from Chuck, he's like my little angel because
Yeah.
he gave me $25,000 and we've never had a problem
Stretch
with
that.
inventory.
Right.
Yeah, we still do sometimes. Like if it's something that sells out, we'll put it up and it's going in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But not the way we did back then.
And have you raised more funding? Are you looking to raise more funding? You know, where the position you're in now and the growth you're seeing, you know, you have a more formidable business. You know, it seems as though it should be a lot harder for investors to turn you down for what you're doing. How has this process been? Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
So total to date,
Yeah.
from everything that I told you, from day one to now, we've raised $150,000. So, but that's included my money also.
Right,
So
right.
$150,000 has gone into the company. That's it for all the sales, and we're already over $3 million in sales.
Wow.
I focus on customers at that time. Like it's more like most people focus on fundraising.
Yeah.
But I was like, no. Like if I get the money, if I don't know how to do it and sell it, then
It don't matter.
it doesn't matter because I don't test people's money. I rather test my own because I don't want you to tell me. Even though most investors lose their money and don't say nothing and they can't say anything,
Right.
I still like have a heart.
Right.
I feel bad.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna take your money and I don't know what to do, so I test my own money.
Right.
What's the feedback that you get on your company that
That oh my God, Crystal, I love that you grew the company so fast, but it's not my market. So I'm gonna pass. And then my thing is like as an investor, I want you to like money. Like I'm showing you like where we're going, where we are, what we've done with minimal money. Like I literally took Chuck's $25,000 and I flipped his $25,000 last year into $1.1 million. And that enough right there, somebody just does not see that.
Yeah.
But talking to investors, they're looking for more of the gimmicks, I would say.
Right.
And this company is not a gimmick. This is the real deal. Like I know what our focus is, I know what our strategy is, and I know exactly what it is. And we're gonna do it the right way with no gimmicks. And we just want to sell a product to people who need it.
Talk a little bit about, you know, the grand vision when you get the resources you need and, you know, as you continue to build, you know, at its maximum height and capacity, like what is your grand vision for PantyProp and its world domination?
My vision for it is to actually grow it the way we have been, to be that capsule collection of, like how I said, of what my vision was from the beginning, just for a natural body function, for you to have natural products to just wear that you don't have to think about. My goal with that is to make it easier for the customer that needs it to have access to it. So growing the company will be to get it in more people's hands. So that's through digital marketing, you know, customer acquisition. That's getting it into wholesale distribution, and then eventually down the line, like maybe like 2-3 years from now, I actually want to have stores where people can actually go and pick it up, and not stores everywhere. Like in the main areas of where people actually need it.
You know, how do you think about, obviously there's competitors in the market, you know, some of them have raised tens of millions of dollars and have campaigns, as you say, they have, you know, posters everywhere and billboards and whatnot. You know, what do you think is really that competitive advantage that's gonna really get you over the hump?
Because we have the product that solves the problem. All of my other competitors, and even like the big companies like Procter & Gamble or Kimberly & Clark, no one has that in-between solution except us.
Okay.
I want something where you don't, our product is something that you don't have to worry about. You put it on, that's where the name PantyProp actually came from. You prop it on and you go.
I get it.
Yeah, that's actually where it came from.
Yes.
Just prop it on and go. And when I first started, like my first month, that used to be our tagline, like just prop it on and go. Because it was something that you shouldn't have to worry about. So we're already winning. PantyProp is like that pink and pretty brand that is just for normal, regular people. There's nothing fancy. It's just, we just want to solve your problem. And we want you to come back when you get a little bigger and you need a bigger size. That's it.
The key to entrepreneurship, solve a
for
problem.
real.
So,
Crystal, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
absolutely. You know, we look forward to the success of PantyProp. You know, seeing plastered all over and you getting your Forbes billionaire cover and how, you know, changing the world one gusset at a time, you know. That's great.
Just made a whole bunch of shit up.
That's not bad.
Okay. Building Panty. Okay. Fucking. Today we're talking to. It's a little tilted actually. Thanks for kicking it with us this episode. And if you want to learn more about New Age Capital, check us out at newage.vc. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more dope content.